Okay, welcome back everybody. Today we're going to continue Unit 7 with Lesson 6, which is all about special right triangles. So special right triangles are important because they show up a lot in quote-unquote real life and also on the ACT, if/when we ever end up taking that. So there's three different versions. Usually you'll be taught as just two, but I like to separate it into three because there's a specific case that comes up that I think is easier if you have three different versions of them. So the first one is 45, 45, 90. And if you remember, when you're looking at a triangle, the length of the side opposite an angle is proportional to the size of the angle. So if this is the 90-degree angle, this is the longest side opposite it. And if these are both 45, that means the two sides opposite those have to be the same length. So this is technically an isosceles triangle. So the way this works out is I'm going to call the two legs, the parts that make up the 90-degree angle, I'm going to call them both x. So this is x and this is x. And then in that case, the length of the hypotenuse, I could make you find by using the Pythagorean theorem, everybody's favorite thing. I know I heard at least two of you cringe. Instead, I can just use a formula here. And that formula is that the length of the hypotenuse is going to be x, whatever the length of the leg was, times the square root of 2. So if the leg is 5, the hypotenuse is 5 root 2 in a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Now the second version here, this is for if you're given the hypotenuse but not a leg. So if we know the length of the hypotenuse, I'm going to call it y. Then that makes the length of each of the legs y divided by 2, or divided by square root of 2, sorry. So if this is 10, then this is 10 divided by the square root of 2. And those of you who are in Algebra 2 will notice that that is technically improper in math. For now, I'm not going to go over how to rationalize your denominators. You won't have any in your assignment that you need to worry about that. Now, those two terms I said, rationalizing denominators, I'm sure freaked some of you out. For now, I'll go through an example just like this in just a moment, but just know that you won't need to worry about rationalizing denominators for today. And I said it again, so I'm sure some people cringed. The last version is 30, 60, 90. So in 30, 60, 90, the longest side is opposite the biggest angle, which is 90. So the longest side is the hypotenuse. The next longest side is opposite the next biggest angle, which is the 60 degrees. And the shortest side is opposite the smallest angle, which is 30. So I'm going to call the side opposite the smallest angle. I'm going to call this x. The hypotenuse then is twice that. So the hypotenuse is 2x. So if this is 3, this is 2 times 3, or 6. And then the side opposite the 60 is x times the square root of 3. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at how these show up on your assignment for today. All right, so here's what one of the problems on your homework is going to look like. So we have a 30, 60, 90. So if we go back and look at your notes here, 30, 60, 90, we know the short side is x. The long side is 2 times x, and the medium side is the short side times the square root of 3. So here we're given the short side, 7, and it's asking us to find the length of the medium side. Now, that means that the medium side is going to be 7 times the square root of 3. So to enter that in here, I would do 7, and then for the square root part, they've included a nice little button down here. So 7 square root 3, and then submit answer. All right. Let's take a look at another problem here. Okay, so now here we have a situation where we know what one of the legs is, but we don't know the hypotenuse. So, and this is a 45, 45, 90. So that means this leg is 3, and this leg over here that isn't marked is also 3. And then if we look at the notes, the hypotenuse is going to be whatever the length of the leg is times the square root of 2. So that means it's going to be 3 times the square root of 2. So 3 square root 2. Okay, let's take a look at one last example here. Okay, so this is an example of the last of the three that we looked at. So we know the length of the leg is x, and the length of the hypotenuse is square root of 8. So this would seem to be something that I haven't shown you before. However, let's talk about how we can do this. So if we look at the notes, you know that if the length of the hypotenuse is given, we'll call this y, which in this case is radical 8, then the length of either of the legs is the length of the hypotenuse, radical 8, divided by radical 2, the square root of 2. So if we go back to the desktop here, to do that, if you've forgotten, there's a calculator option here. Now, I'm going to get rid of those numbers. To do square root, I'm going to do square root of 8. And now, before I do the divide, I want to make sure that my cursor is not still inside the square root. You can see it's inside the square root. So I'm going to push my arrow key over. Or if you're using, I don't know, a digital device, if you just press this little arrow key over. Now I'm going to divide this by the square root of 2. And so the answer is 2. So the only one on your assignment that's like this, you just have to divide by the square root of 2 and you'll get a nice, neat answer. We'll talk about rationalizing denominators soonish. So anyway, the answer is 2. And there we go. All right, so today's assignment is for you guys to go through the notes that I just went through with you here. You do not have to show me a picture of your notes, but you do still have to submit the note assignment on Google Classroom. So there's an actual assignment for this. So once you've gone through the notes, just click submit, and then I'll just automatically give you the points for it. And this is going to go in the note category of your grade as well. Now, technically, I won't know if you didn't do this, but since you're going to need to understand this in order to do the assignment for Tuesday, I mean, you're really only hurting yourself if you do that. So the assignment for Tuesday, I have live on Delta Math now, but I don't think I have it live on Google Classroom yet. So if you finish the assignment for Tuesday today, then you still have to submit that assignment tomorrow so that I can take attendance by it. So let me know if you need any help. I'll be by my computer all day. So enjoy.